Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Duane, and today's topic is going to be about the early phases of this experience that we're going through, or that you're going through. One of the things that I know I mention a lot, but sometimes it needs to be repeated multiple times, is that this is a really difficult thing to get through. And when you're in the first part of this, the first few months, or even the first year, you're really early in on this whole process. It takes a significant amount of time to grapple with everything you've been through and to really reconcile what happened and to ultimately start to heal. Now, there's a bunch of different phases through this, but I just wanted to just touch on the fact that when you're in that early part, when you're in the beginning days of this, you can be looking at it thinking, okay, everyone else thinks I should be healed. Everyone else is telling me to move on, get another girlfriend, get another boyfriend, start living my life, doing all these things. And they don't understand just how complicated this all really is. And it is really complicated. It is really, really tough. It's easy for me now to talk about it, and I'm sure I come across as somebody who's doing really well, which I am, but you're talking about a 7-year thing. I mean, if I grab my phone right now and I look at my little countdown timer, I am right now 7 years, 269 days post-separation and 6 years, 318 days post-divorce. So this took a lot of time and work to get to this point. And the first few years of this was really, really tough. I mean, and to be perfectly honest, saying it's tough is an incredible understatement. It was a nightmare. It's what I call my dark days. It were the days that every day was tough to get up. Every day was a struggle. Every day was thinking and ruminating about the exact same thing, feeling the exact same way. And it was like lather, rinse, and repeat. Every day felt numb or felt painful. And it just felt like this was never going to end. And it's important for me to revisit this often, especially whenever we get new people on the channel, because it's so easy to get for that fact to get lost. It's so easy for people to say, oh, just go no contact and have healthy boundaries and start living your life for you and work on self-love and all those things. And it's true. I mean, every one of those things is true. But the missing element is how freaking difficult it is to get to that point. I mean, I could say all those things. I mean, heck, I do say those things. I do recommend everything I just said. I recommend to people often in my videos. And the problem is if you do not have the context of how hard it is to get to that point, you can feel like you're still lost. You can feel like, well, all these other people didn't have it as bad, or all these other people are stronger than me, or all these other people had a better support system, or all these other people had something different with their experience than you. You could even be thinking that about me. What I'll tell you is my experience parallels a lot of people that come to this channel. What they're feeling, what they're thinking, how their struggles, their frustrations, their bitterness, their inability to let go, the frustration of feeling like your ex is getting away with everything, that you're constantly jumping through hoops, that no one understands. I went through all that. And it was really tough. I mean, that is why often whenever, and I've been getting these comments a lot lately, but often whenever it comes up, and I really think about that little period of time, and I can tune back into that or hone back into that time where it was really bad, where it was really, really tough. I was really struggling. And I was desperate to get some type of relief from this because I'm like, oh my God, is this ever going to end? That was a time whenever I was going to therapy once a week. I remember even asking my therapist, can we do it multiple times a week? Because I feel like I'm getting worse and not better. In the midst of all that, I looked into all kinds of different things. I even tried EMDR, and it didn't work for me. It was just at that period of time, I was under so much stress and trauma that going down that path with EMDR, and we started it, was just too much. I just couldn't handle it. It was too much. It was like the floodgates were getting ready to fly open, and I didn't feel like I was in a space, in an emotional space, that I could handle that much coming out, because I wasn't handling it then. But in the course of all that, I was pointed in the direction of the potential of the X being potentially a NPD. I remember originally thinking it was a load of crap, and it wasn't true until I went home and looked it up online, and I'm like, oh my God, the patterns of behavior match. So she's not diagnosed, and I often talked about the fact that only a medical professional can diagnose somebody, but you can look at the patterns of behavior, and if someone's fitting the patterns of behavior, then follow what their normal patterns of behavior are and what techniques work for you. That still didn't really help me. I mean, it helped a little bit. It helped give me a little bit of closure, but I still felt stuck. And ultimately what I ended up doing is, and this was a friend of mine at work, after just watching me just circle the toilet bowl, having the same conversations every morning. We'd meet every day at work before we started our stuff, and I would just go down the same conversation over and over and over again. The dude was great. Actually, I had a good group of friends that would listen to me, allow me to just talk in circles basically, and not poke me in the eye about it, which I was really grateful for. But at one point, one of them said, man, you got to try something different. You're not getting anywhere. This is hard to watch, and you deserve to have your life back. And he's like, why don't you try hypnosis or something? And that's when I did that. And that did help. And it was still tough. I mean, I'll tell you, the first time I listened to every one of those files, the first time that message hit my brain, I had almost an emotional breakdown with it. It was really, really tough. So my point on this is that this stuff isn't easy. It's not easy. It's not something that's just, I mean, for the most of us, it's not going to just happen real quick. You have to put in the work. You have to try to change your mindset. You have to try to change the way you think about things and the way you look at things. It's not easy. You have all this time. I had all of this time basically being programmed to think a certain way, to look at things a certain way, to feel and respond a certain way. It took a lot of work to undo that. I would come home every day and lay down and listen to one or two of those hypnosis files. If I could get up early enough in the morning, I would do it then. If I could take a break at some point at work and go in the car or close the door in my office or something, I would do it. I was constantly trying to drill that into my head. At the same time, I was doing the absolute thinking technique that, I mean, effectively, I'm sure there's someone else who had that technique, but that's kind of what I came up with myself to just remind myself. It's like every day when I would start ruminating about the past, I would say, no, the X is an NPD. Even though I didn't have a diagnosis, I would say, this is what they are. All of this was an illusion. It wasn't true. It was manipulation. It was a facade for her to get what she wanted. And that, coupled with all of those things, coupled with therapy, coupled with YouTube videos, coupled with hypnosis files, coupled with my absolute thinking technique, slowly started to break my pattern of behavior of thinking the same thing over and over and over again. So that's how you get through this. It's possible. It is absolutely doable. It's possible. It's doable. It's not, I mean, you're just not going to take a magic pill and it's going to work. You're going to have to work through the emotions. You're going to have to work through the hurt and the pain. You're going to have to work through grappling with what reality really is, what you really went through. But I'll tell you, once this whole thing starts to break down, once that hold that the X has of you starts to break down, changes everything. It absolutely changes everything. And then you pivot your focus from them to rebuilding your life. And you also pivot, if you have children, You pivot from looking at what is the best thing that I can do for the kids and myself. And you start to not even contemplate what your ex is doing. So on that, if you know somebody who's struggling in the early stages of this, share this video with them. Maybe it'll help them to just start to kickstart them to get things going. If you are new at this, I will leave a playlist that I call Mindset for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery, which is basically a primer for the early stages of this. A lot of videos that really kind of help explain what's going on, coupled with some techniques to help you deal with that. And yeah, I'll chat with you on the next video. Take care.